again, quickest in qualifying yesterday. South African driver Eugene Dennison will be on the front row as well for this one. Mark Ferenc and Charlie Eastwood, reigning world champion, and also current championship leader in the Rotax Euro Challenge, because he went well in the pre-final and then he won the final at Genk. And then Eva Benes, French driver, he's on the third row of the grid with Hiri Foreman alongside. On row 4, Ryo Hiruka, the Japanese driver, and Martin Henkel Mortensen, who was absolutely fantastic at Genk, the Danish driver, who was running in the top 6 in the pre-final, having done great things in his heats. Then had a mechanical drama, so pulled off the circuit, I think, on the very last lap of the race in the pre-final. That then meant he had to start right at the back of the grid for the final, but Martin stormed through and he came 4th in the race from the very back of the grid. So Martin Henkel Mortensen, the Danish driver in kart 2761, that really shone at Genk. Let's see what he can do here. Certainly went pretty well in qualifying yesterday. Xavier Pozzoli and Jessica Batman. We've already seen her brother Andreas racing. Well, Jessica is the sister and the Swedish driver completing the top 10 on the grid here. So we are back to seniors. So many seniors that are split into many different heats, and Harry Webb, I think, was a bit disappointed to finish 4th in his first race earlier on. In the first heat that we had a win for Petra Betzal. Harry Webb was in that race. He led very briefly. He ran 5th for much of the race and came through to finish 4th in the end. He got a bit battered down the order. Harry Webb made a great start in his earlier race and then was pushed wide through turn 3, dropped to 5th place and struggled to recover. So Petra Betzal had a great battle with Max Verstappen for that first senior race. The second senior race this morning was won by Philip Moran, the Swedish driver. And Ed Brand came through for a point. He led the race, but he came through from 10th to finish in 2nd place in the end, ahead of Karol Dabski. So those are the results from the earlier 2 senior races that we had. You can see the karts there in the background running through. And as they've gone out onto the formation lap, the rain has got heavier and heavier. So it's going to be very, very tricky for them in this race. Celine Holderbaum, who starts at the back of the grid anyway, seems to be late getting out there, and she's only just starting this second formation lap. There you can see behind the grid graphic the karts weaving, trying to pick up their tyre temperature and some brake temperature. They were running through the second hairpin, so they're 2/3 of the way through the lap, and Celine Holderbaum is trying to catch them up. So Celine's struggling, but we have got Eva Benes doing great things, the French lady driver in the top 6. Qualified well at Genk as well. Let's see what she can do here. She had a couple of bad heats, but then she managed to fly through.
Oh, Chris, we're learning that Eva Benes has a problem. Message just coming into my ear, is that? Mark Ferenc. Mark Ferenc, is it? Not sure if I'm getting the message accurately, but if it's Mark Ferenc, that is a big, big disaster scheduled to start on the inside of row 2.
That's the 282 kart, so that's what we're hearing. Let's see when they come back around. That'll leave a nice big gap in front of Eva Benes then, potentially, who starts on the row behind. Here they come then, ready for the rolling start. And this 10-lap race, Harry Webb with a good start. It's a clean start. They've let them go. And he's got a healthy lead on the run into turn number 1.
And problems as well for kart number 244. It wasn't one of our front runners. It's Alfredo Zabalza, but I give him a mention because all the way from Mexico, Chris, and it hasn't happened for him.
Harry Webb leads the way. 2nd place has gone the way of Ryo Hiruka, who's come from the 4th row of the grid. Everybody squeezing through turns 3 and 4. Eugene Dennison made a reasonable start, and Eva Benes, I think, has come through to the top 3 as well. We've got another one on the grass on the exit to turn number 6, which is the corner which leads onto the back straight. They're going through turn 7 there at the end of the long back straight, and then they come into the middle of the course, the hairpin section. Look at Harry Webb go, the Strawberry Racing driver. He's flying away. A challenge there for 2nd place. Ryo Hiruka loses the position, so Ryo making that great start to the race, runs wide, but then he gets the place back on the way into the next hairpin. He gets plenty of traction on the way out of the first hairpin. And he was 2 kart lengths behind by the time they got to the apex. By the time they got out of the corner, he was already back alongside, and he made the 2nd place stick again as it changed again at the end of the lap. Harry Webb comes through. Yes, it has changed again, and it's now Pozzoli who's got his nose back in front of Hiruka. Yellow flag's being waved at turn 1 because there's been an incident down there at the start of the race, so no overtaking into turn 1. Webb leads by, get this, nearly 3 seconds from Pozzoli. Hiruka is third, in 1 lap. Charlie Eastwood is there in 4th place. Yuri Foreman is 5th. Luke Varley, who came up the order very well, I think from 15th to 7th, wasn't he, in his first race? Well, he's going well again. He's in 6th place. And Joe Van Splunteren has made up places as well. He's in 7th place as we work our way into lap 2.
Yeah, we mentioned about the South Africans, the father and son team in DD2. Maybe not enjoying the rain too much. Eugene Denason started that one on pole position, on the front row, very slowly away and only just hanging on to his place in the top 10. Eugene Denason 10th place. But some former champions going well. Luke Varley running 6th, a former European and world number 1. And of course the European number 1, Joey Van Splunteren, as Chris just said, in 7th place. This is the start of lap 3.
It is, yeah. And Webb has got a 3.8 second lead now. He's developed it further still. 109s he's in. And everybody else behind him in the 1 minute 10s to 1 minute 11s. We've got a tight battle, as you can see there, for 2nd, 3rd and 4th between 305. Puzzoli made a really good start to the race. Flying through the order, Puzzoli, from the 4th, 5th row of the grid, Xavier Puzzoli. He went from 9th to 2nd. We've got a bit of a pile-up through turn 4. A couple of carts running off. 2-8 at the back of the field. The other one to get going is 307.
Is Eugene Denason, and he's falling down the grid. Yeah, and 307. The lady's struggling, isn't she? Out of the top 30, or would have been, except for the fact that there aren't now 30 running.
Yeah, Eugene Denason struggling.
Well, he was
from the start 15th
of the race. Just before that moment. Started on the first on the front row, and so way down. Very unlucky. Eva Benes, who we've talked up, I'm afraid, struggling, and we said that Mark Ferrings was a non-starter. All very unlucky, but part of.
Luke Varley's going well, though, isn't he? He's up to 4th place now, Luke.
Best form since he returned, Chris.
Yeah, that's from 15th on the grid. So Luke Varley doing pretty much what he did this morning in his earlier race, making up lots of places. There's some wheel-to-wheel action in the middle of the field. In fact, just behind, I think it was Luke Varley coming under attack from Charlie Eastwood, wasn't it? He held a place, though. They ran wheel-to-wheel on the way into the first corner. Luke was ahead in that battle as they went into turn 1. He's still ahead. Charlie Eastwood couldn't find a way through in the 2-3-4 cart. And then good battles going on just behind them as well. Huey Foreman and Joe Van Splunteren and Kenny Vermeulen all battling. I think Kenny Vermeulen, who started the lap in 8th place, has gained at least one position there. Might well be up into the top 6 now. So Harry Webb leads by 4.2 seconds. From 9th on the grid, Xavier Puzzoli is 2nd. Ray Haruka also made a good start to the race. From 7th on the grid, he's 3rd. Luke Varley has made the most places up, and he's up to 4th place now. And Charlie Eastwood on his tail in 5th. Huey Foreman in this next group of 3 carts with Joe Van Splunteren and Kenny Vermeulen, who are all chopping and changing positions. And also a word for Connor Jupp. We heard from him after the first race. He's been doing exams, so had to miss qualifying yesterday to do his school exams and to miss some practice sessions. And he just got here for the racing, and so he's had to start from the back of the grid. He was fastest in qualifying at Genk, and he runs in the top 10 in the championship. So Connor in his first race, despite not really having much track time the last couple of days, went from 33rd to 17th on his first lap, then struggled a bit and got up to 15th. Sarah spoke to him. He said he wasn't entirely happy with the setup. Still some work to be done. Well, they've done it, haven't they? Because he's gone from 31st to 10th this time. So Connor Jupp has gained 21 places in this lap. The young British driver doing great things. But the other British driver at the sharp end of the field is Harry Webb. And boy, he is absolutely romping away with this at the moment, Ken. 4.7 seconds to the good.
Well, he made that good start from pole position when Eugene Denason, the South African, was slowly away in the off-pole position, and Harry must have thought that he was on an exhibition drive, because the truth is, he's never really seen anybody close to him at all. Jeremy Lesoudier at the back of the race, not in shot on picture. The Frenchman is one of the latest drivers to find himself in big trouble in cart number 296, outside the top 25. But Harry Webb has just gone through in shot in screen, but here's this really good scrap. Puzzoli and Varley 3:05 2:79. There's just 0.11 of a second between them. It's at the half race distance, so let me give you the top 10 call at the halfway. Harry Webb leads by 4.7 seconds. Puzzoli 2nd, Varley 3rd, the world number 1 Eastwood 4th. and Kenny Vermeulen completing the top 5. Joey van Splunteren 6, Ludwig Morin 7, Yuri Foreman 8, the impressive Connor Jupp up another place to 9th, and Ryu Hiruka, after a shaky start to this event, he's running in the top 10. We're on lap 6 of 10.
Hiruka's dropped back, actually. He was running third, wasn't he, a lap or so ago? So, Ryu Hiruka, a couple of laps ago, falling by the wayside, still just about in the top 10. Martin Henkel Mortensen struggling a bit as well. He's lost a few places. He started 8th. He's
a bit of contact
10
early on, which I don't think did him any favours.
So he's 12th now. So Martin not quite going as well. Somebody's about to receive the technical disqualification flag. It's number 283 who's going to get the black flag with the orange disc.
That's unlucky. 283 is Joey van Splunteren. We've just been saying how well he's been going. He's been struggling on the budget, struggling on everything. The good position for him was the rain, but it comes out of the race.
I think I can see what it is. He's got real damage to the rear bumper, hasn't he? And
wouldn't
right
complete the race anyway.
Yeah, so it's dragging along. So the officials feel that's unsafe. He's not been disqualified for driving standards. He's been disqualified because the rear bumper is scraping along the floor. It's not really slowing him down, is it? He's going very well in 5th place, but the fear is that it will become detached become a danger.
He did drop beyond 5th, didn't he, Chris? He crossed in front of us in 9th place and was going back and has just had a much slower lap. So, as you say, it's already affecting his driving. Just feel sorry for the guy who has just been dogged by bad luck of late. A good thing this morning for him was when the rains came. Sadly, even that little advantage taken from him.
Bad news for him. Good news for Connor Jupp, who's now up to 8th place. This is a great run from dead last, from 31st position. Connor, he's up now into 8th place, the Dan Holland racing driver. Over the line goes the race leader, Harry Webb. Where's everybody else, he says? He's through turn 1. Only now over the start-finish line comes the second place cart, and Luke Varley's got to second place on that lap. So Luke Varley getting ahead of Antonio Pozzoli. And this is a terrific drive from Luke. We had a great drive from him earlier. This is even better, I think, from 15th to 2nd he has gone, and he's already rocketing away from the battle for 3rd place as Pozzoli is forced out wide. Kenny Vermeulen gets ahead of him. Charlie Eastwood is in the battle as well. I think Charlie's come out ahead of all of them. So Charlie, I think, has gone up into 3rd place. Then it's Vermeulen, then Pozzoli. It was out on the grass there, drops 2 places, and I think will emerge in 5th place.
Yeah, that was a bit hairy while it happened, wasn't it? Don't know how close the officials were to that. I don't think that Charlie was the instigator. I rather think that inadvertently it was Kenny. But hey, it's not down to us to call it. We'll see how things go. But the bottom line is Harry Webb 1, Luke Varley 2, Charlie Eastwood 3 at the 3/4 race distance. 7.5 gone, 2.5 to go.
Now you can see the final 2 turns. This left-right S bend section which leads onto the start finish straight. 14 corners here on this 1.3 kilometre long circuit here at Laghi International Circuit in northern Italy. Still 4.3 seconds the advantage for Harry Webb, but now that he's got through the traffic, Luke Varley is quicker than the race leader. Quite a bit quicker actually, 7/10 quicker. I know Harry is probably not absolutely flat out, he doesn't need to be, but Luke is showing his pace here. He's loving the wet conditions. Charlie Eastwood did emerge from that battle in 3rd place. Vermeulen also did get through. So Pozzoli, as I thought had happened, and dropped 2 places with all that nudging and barging down to 5th place. He ran wide through turn 4. The other 2 didn't give him an inch, and so with 2 wheels on the grass he got no chance really, and he fell from 3rd to 5th. Yuri Foreman has come up into 6th place. Connor Jupp is now up into 7th place. They've both got ahead of Ludwig Morin, who's down to 8th. Joe Van Splinteren still shown as 9th, so still staying out there. He's got to come in soon now, so he'll be called up to see the officials if he keeps ignoring the black, or not seeing the black and orange flag. And then rounding out the top 10 as we go towards the closing stages of the race now is the 308 cart of Nicolas Rogivu, who has come from 26th on the grid to be in the top 10.
And I think making his debut, I don't recall the name, and since it's not too easy to say, Nicolas Rogivu from Switzerland, driving for Spirit Racing, so a teammate of Kevin Ludi, been quite impressed into the top 10. As we've said, Henkel Mortensen struggled in this event, very different to in the first round, but he gets himself into the top 10 now. Jan Jonk, the driver, just outside the top 10 in 11th. But there's not a lot of action to call home for the winner, because Harry Webb is well on his way to an easy victory. But to do him justice, Chris will call him home.
And I've got a feeling that I've just seen Mark Ferenc coming onto the circuit, having missed the start of the race, having clearly had some sort of technical issue. just feels like he's just looked like he came out from the assembly area onto the track. Obviously, he's not going to do anything in this because he's most of the race behind them. So Mark Frentz, a real shame for him having qualified well to not get the race in, but at least they can get the car working in a lap or two to test it. That might put their mind at ease for what's to come later on. We're on the final lap of the race then, and Harry Webb is on the final corner because he's just about to take the checkered flag. Harry Webb wins. How many times are we going to say that this year? But Luke Varley, for me, the star of the race from way down the grid from 15th. He comes home in second. Charlie Eastwood, always thereabouts, isn't he? Third place for Charlie. He wasn't best pleased with qualifying yesterday. Was a bit disgruntled at not being a bit higher up the order. But come the race, come the man, and Charlie Eastwood with a great drive through to third place there. Kenny Vermeulen also going very well to come home in fourth place because he started back in 19th position. So Kenny Vermeulen with 14 places gained there. Pozzoli coming home after his great start to the race. He fell back a bit in the end, but Pozzoli coming home still inside the top five. In sixth place was Yuri Form. Ludwig Moran was seventh. Martin Henkel Mortensen found a bit of form at the end of the race and came through to eighth. And then from 26th on the grid, Nikolaj Rojivu coming home in 9th place. Jan Jonk rounding out the top 10. Connor Jupp fell back at the end of the race, having got all the way up to 7th at one point. He finished 11th, but 11th from 31st is still not too bad, is it? So good effort by him. Most of them finishing. There are the results. Harry Webb and Luke Varley, the top two for Strawberry Racing and KMS Hungary, respectively. Strawberry get another driver in the top three with Charlie Eastwood, the Irish driver. Third, Kenny Vermeulen for Belgium. Fourth for Techno Kart Racing. Sonic Race Kart driver Xavier Pozzoli is fifth. Thierry Foreman for Pro Train Racing coming home in sixth place. Then Ludwig Moran, the self-run driver, seventh. Martin Henkel Mortensen, one of the stars at Genk, coming through a bit better at the end to eighth place. Nikolaj Rojivu, ninth. Jan Jonk, 10th. Connor Jupp, 11th. Raya Hiruku ran third for the first few laps, but fell to 12th place in the race in the end. Carlo Borghese and Fabien Earl, 13th and 14th. Jules Kozan rounding out the top 15 karts. Eva Benez, I'm afraid, almost a bit like what happened to her in Genk. She qualified very well, but come the first couple of races, she really did fall back in Genk. She did have one good heat in Belgium, but the pattern has continued here in that she lost a lot of places. Joe Van Splunter in there with the technical disqualification, despite running in the top five at one point from world champion. In the end, having to retire from the increasingly wet circuit. And the rain has really got a lot